Nobody expected the 2026 Super Rugby squad to look like this. Every year brings a few changes, a handful of new signings, players moving overseas, coaches shaking things up. But 2026 feels different. Not just tweaks here and there, but massive player moves, shocking departures, returns nobody saw coming, and squads almost entirely reinvented from one season to the next. Let's start with one of the biggest shocks. Warner Dearns heading to the Hurricanes. This isn't just a fringe player or a speculative rumour. Dearns, Japan international and World Cup campaigner, is confirmed as a Hurricanes lock, bringing size, physicality and proven international steel straight into the heart of their pack. On top of that, the Hurricanes have Jordie Barrett returning from his sabbatical, re-energising their backline with leadership and experience fans know they can rely on. When you combine Dearns' brute force in the engine room with Barrett's season control, the Hurricanes suddenly look like a team with real momentum. Not just another contender, but a side that could dominate territory and tempo every week. And while the Hurricanes were engineering one of the most eye-catching recruitments of the off-season, the Blues in Auckland were forced into a bold midfield rebuild. And the way they've responded is intriguing. They lost big names like Rieko Ioane and Mark Telea to overseas stints, a gut punch for any team. Instead of panicking, they brought in Tongan international Peter Aki, a big game midfield presence with tons of experience in Europe, ready to anchor their attack and defence. They've also added fresh talent in the New Zealand under-20 star Rico Simpson at first five, letting him learn under the closeful eye of Beauden Barrett and Stephen Perofeta. Not just rebuilding, that's rebalancing strength and youth in a way that keeps the Blues competitive but also exciting for the future. Move south and you'll see the Chiefs making waves of their own. New head coach John Gibbs hasn't just filled gaps, he's weaponised his squad. With around 15 players who have All Blacks experience, the Chiefs bring depth, firepower and consistency that rivals any teams on paper. They've strengthened their midfield with players like Lalakai Fogeti alongside Quinn Tupaia and bolstered by their back three with Kyron Tomoi Folau coming in from Moana Pacifica, and emerging talents and experienced campaigners in all areas. And it's clear this side isn't just aiming to be competitive. They're gearing up to break past the near misses of past seasons and actually go for the title. Yet as the Chiefs quietly strengthen, the Crusaders and Christchurch threw their own headline-grabbing moves into the mix. Few things excite a Super Rugby fan more than seeing Leicester Fainga'anuku return from France to bolster one of the most lethal midfields in the game. But there's more beneath the surface. Crusaders captain Scott Barrett is taking a sabbatical for part of the season, which would normally be a major concern for any team. Instead of weakening them, the Crusaders leaned into depth, naming academy graduates like Toby Bell, Louis Chapman, Malone Kunawawe, James White and others in their ranks. And they still have world champions like David Havili and Will Jordan anchoring leadership and firepower. This blend of fresh talent and elite experience might just be the recipe that keeps the defending champions anonymously dangerous. But if the Crusaders felt like a powerhouse reinforcing themselves internally, the Highlanders said challenge accepted by adding serious international talent. They brought in Argentine Thomas Lavanini, whose physical presence instantly changes how opposing packs must prepare, and 7 stars Andrew Noobstub, bringing a new kind of different speed and unpredictability into their backline. That's the kind of mix that turns heads. Test-level grunt up front, and then explosive flair in attack. Highlanders fans have been waiting for a season where everything clicks, and this feels like the year that could make some noise. And while those New Zealand teams were reshaping themselves, Moana Pacifica didn't just rebuild, they completely reset. With around 20 players departing and 13 new incomers stepping in, Tana Umaga faces one of the boldest overhauls in the competition. The biggest shock here was the absence of Adi Savia, who heads off on a sabbatical to Japan. Losing a leader of his caliber shifts the dynamic of any team, so Moana Pacifica pivoted with 2 experienced returns. Former All Blacks Ngani Laumapi bringing devastating running power, and Augustine Pulu, a veteran scrum half and seasoned competitor at age 35, back in the Super Rugby arena. This isn't a cautious transition, it's a statement. A blend of Pacific flair with proven performers and youth hungry to step up. Meanwhile, just across the Tasman Sea, the Australian franchises have been quietly but clearly stocking depth, experience and leadership in their own ways. The Queensland Reds, for example, announced a squad rich with test experience and talent on the rise. Wallaby fly half Kalani Thomas steps into the mix, alongside seasoned campaigners like Jeffrey Tumanga-Allen and Fiji international Ben Volavola, blending experience with a deliberate push on homegrown talent, giving the squad both teeth and future promise as they look to climb the standings. Then there's the New South Wales Waratahs, who confirmed a refreshed 2026 squad featuring signings like Angus Blythe, Ioane Monanu, George Pullman, and Jack Dobrinsky. While Wallabies Peter Samu and Harry Potter return after international commitments, this is a balanced approach, holding on to core experience while injecting young fire and competition for places across the park. If there's one thing Australian rugby fans can feel optimistic about, it's the Waratahs building a deep, competitive group ready to push on. Not far behind them, the ACT Brumbies named a squad that blends long-serving Wallabies and fresh faces ready to step into bigger roles. Players like Alan Alatoa, Rob Valentini and Ryan Lonergan provide a foundation of test class and consistency, while academy graduates and first-time squad members add hunger and unpredictability. And just on the cusp of a major career milestone, veteran James Slipper edges closer to becoming one of the most capped Super Rugby players in history. That kind of experience anchors a squad and gives young players a benchmark in leadership and resilience. The Western Force are building quietly but confidently heading into 2026, keeping a strong core together while adding serious firepower. Their four-pack is a real bite, with hard-working loose forwards like Carlo Tizzano and Will Harris supported by experienced campaigners, and the arrival of Argentina lock Franco Molina adding toughness and physical edge in the engine room. Out wide, former All Black winger George Bridge brings pace, finishing quality, and big game experience after his European stint, while Curly Beale and a mix of exciting young backs gives the Force genuine strike power and versatility. It feels less like a rebuild and more like a planned evolution. And if this squad clicks the way it looks on paper, the Western Force could be one of the real surprise packets of the 2026 Super Rugby season. And speaking of Pacific powerhouses, you can't talk about 2026 without acknowledging the Fijian Drua. They've unveiled a squad packed with talent and promise. The Drua have retained a strong core from their previous campaigns, including established internationals like Frank Lamani, Alisa Drua Assisi, and Kemu Valentini, while bringing experience through players like lock Timor Malavaivoi, returning from England, and former Western Force and Wallaby halfback Isaac Finas Lelewasa, who has strong Fijian heritage and brings game experience to the scrum base. They've also added former Rebels lock Angelo Smith and dynamic winger Masana Mataeli to the back three, in a squad that includes 29 capped flying Fijians plus 4 development players stepping up. The Drua clearly want to combine raw Fijian flair with seasoned rugby brains to terrorise opponents and break lines at pace. When you step back and look at the entire competition, what stand out isn't just a few signings here and there, it's transformation. The Hurricanes look revitalised with international experience and returning stars. The Blues responded to departures with strategic young blood and seasoned reinforcements. The Chiefs have constructed a squad built to challenge. The Crusaders balance sabbaticals with youth injection and high-end talent. The Highlanders blend brute force and unpredictable pace. Moana Pacifica hit the reset button with bold inclusions and leadership. And the Australian sides, the Reds, Waratahs and Brumbies, have all strengthened their depth while holding on to the competitive identity. Then the Drua bring a blend of Pacific speed, gritty forward strength and international savvy that could disrupt even the most established backlines. This season feels like a crossroads. It feels like an era where old assumptions get challenged every week, where emerging stars will break through, and where team identities could shift dramatically round by round. Fans are going to see style clashes, squads evolve, and moments that we'll talk about for years. Which team finally gets over the line? Which new combination thrives instantly? Which surprise contenders rise from the pack? That's the magic of Super Rugby. And in 2026, the magic feels stronger than ever. Ever wanted to create your own rugby highlights channel just like this one? With my course, the YouTube Creator Toolkit, I show you exactly how I do it, from the tools I use to the templates I built. You get everything. Just copy, paste, and start creating. Learn how to grow your channel, keep viewers hooked, and turn views into income. Click the link in the description below to learn more and start your channel today. Now back to the video. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want more rugby stories, squad updates, and deep dives like this, make sure to like the video, share it with your mates, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss what's coming next. Thanks for watching, guys, and see you next time. Peace!